everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm here today to go through the books that I am planning to read in November. I think it's safe to say at this stage of my reading journey in 2023 that this has been one of the strangest reading years I've had in a really long time. I have really struggled to get my books read this year in a way that I didn't last year at all. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I think I've been very busy in life and reading has been there for me, and I've read some really great things, but I just haven't, I don't know, the time seems to have slipped through my fingers in this way that I wasn't expecting for this year. And I don't know if anyone else feels that way. It seems like everyone else on BookTube is having a great reading year. But somehow this year has just been a bit of a struggle. So I put forward my TBR this month with trepidation in a way, because I really enjoy creating TBRs and then following through with them and finishing them off. And like I said, I just feel like a lot of the reading I was hoping to do this year has been all over the place. So here it is for what it's worth. We'll see what ends up happening at the end of the month, I guess. I am carrying over 2 books which I started in October. So The Baby on the Fire Escape by Julie Phillips is my book club read for the Thrive Together Network, which is a book club that I lead there. And this is our November read. I started reading it in October because I decided to order the book. I was going to use a library copy, but I realized that this is probably a book that I want to annotate, and it definitely is. So I decided to purchase it, and I got it about a week and a half ago, and I started reading it because I knew that this first week of November would be very busy for me, and I wanted to make sure that I could get the reading done so that I could do my check-in on time. So I am about a third of the way through, and this book is about the battle or the juggling act or the attempt to balance motherhood and being an artist or being a creative person. So whether that's a writer or a visual artist, that is what this book is examining. Creativity, motherhood, and the mind-baby problem. So that is what this book is all about. And I will be finishing it pretty early on in November. I'll be finishing it about mid-month if I keep up with the reading schedule, which I'm determined to do for this one. And we're going to be doing a Zoom discussion about this one on the network. So my October Reader Across Canada read was Birdie by Tracey Lindberg. And I have only gotten this far in because my other October reading just took longer than I expected. And so I'm going to be reading this one in November. And I am actually going to be wrapping up this whole list in the next 2 months because it's almost the end of the year, obviously. So I'm going to be reading multiple books from my reading list this month. So Birdie is the first one. I'm also going to be reading Obasan by Joyce Kogawa. This is a novel based on a real-life experience. Joyce Kogawa's family was interned during World War II because they were Japanese Canadians, and their land was taken. And Joyce Kogawa wrote a novel which has become a rather seminal work around this topic, and I've been meaning to read it for years. There's also a house museum dedicated to her, where the home she lived in afterwards when she moved back to Vancouver after being interned and as an adult. And so I also want to go to the house and check it out, and so I may make a video about the book in conjunction with the house. We'll see how that goes. And then that is for British Columbia. And then I'm also going to read the Northwest Territories book, which is The Lesser Blessed by Richard Van Camp. Richard Van Camp is a Indigenous author from the Northwest Territories. I don't know a ton about him. I did purchase one of his children's books for a friend's child years ago. This book is a chronicle of a young man living in the Northwest Territories, and he is kind of, living reservation life and just trying to get by. And he encounters another young man who is Métis who moves into the area. And then they I think maybe fall in love or have some sort of a sexual awakening relationship together. So I'm very excited about this one. I have heard great things about Richard Van Camp, and this edition that I'm borrowing from the library is actually the 20th anniversary edition of the book. So I'm excited to see and check that out. So those 3 books are going to be on my November TBR, and that will leave 1 for the December TBR. So I'm going right to the end of the year getting this reading project done, but there you go. That is just going to be how it goes. And then I have 2 other books on my TBR for November, and they are both nonfiction. So I've got already The Baby on the Fire Escape for nonfiction November, and then I'm also reading On Immunity by Eula Biss. And this is a book I've had on my TBR for quite a while. Came out pre-COVID. This was a personal journey, I think, that Eula Biss took towards understanding vaccines and immunity after she became a mother. So I think that she may have become a mother at a similar time period, or maybe a bit later than I did. At that time, it was really when the rumors about vaccines causing autism and different things like that started circulating. And I think at the time it was kind of challenging to know what to believe and to not listen to this kind of pseudoscience that was coming out around this issue. And so I think this is Eula Biss's attempt at getting through that jargon and getting to like the science of immunity. And so I'm really excited to actually read this. I always think about immunity in terms of my own health, and I think it's kind of a really key factor in being a healthy person is having good immunity, and all the people who have compromised immunity and how they deal with that in the society that we live in. It's very difficult for them. So yeah, I'm really interested in reading this one. And then my final nonfiction read for November is Heartberries, which is a memoir by Terese Marie Mailhot. I don't know if that's how she pronounces her name. She has a French name, but it's, sometimes when you're not French, you pronounce it a different way, but that's how I would pronounce it. So this is, Terese is a Indigenous author. I'm not exactly sure where she is from specifically, which part of Canada she's from. And this is her memoir about her life growing up. It seems to be quite a personal reflection on society and being Indigenous today. So very excited to get to it on audio. It is narrated by Rainy Fields. So it is a very short audiobook. It's only about 4 hours. So I think I might add another audiobook at the end of the month if I'm so inclined. I'm pretty caught up on my podcast, which is why I usually only limit myself to 1 audiobook a month, because I want to make sure that I'm listening to my podcasts, but I'm not very behind. And I kind of want to get a little bit further ahead in my reading, so that I'm not trying to catch up like a crazy person in December. I don't really know. I had put my books at 75 for this year. And I am 15 off, I think, or something, 16 off. And I thought, well, I could get to 8 books, read 8 books in November and 8 books in December. But then I thought, you don't have to, though. Like, I don't have to hit that number. If I'm not going to hit it, it's okay. So I'm trying to figure out now what I want to do. If it will be fun for me to push that number and just, go for it and try to read for enjoyment, or if I should just accept that this year is going to be maybe 70 books or 72 books or something like that, and not put any pressure on myself to get that number. So I think the month will unfold as it's going to, and then I will decide after that whether or not I'm going to push that number. I am going to have a bit more free time coming up mid-month, so I think I can fit in a bit more reading in there, especially for pleasure. Okay, so that's my TBR for November. I'm reading 3 books for nonfiction November. I'm reading 2 books by Indigenous authors. 3 books by Indigenous authors. And I know that November is often Indigenous History Month, I believe, in the United States. So glad to be reading more Indigenous literature as always. And I will be checking in about these books in my monthly wrap-up. You can see how well I did, if I got my goal or not. And I hope you have a great reading month in November. I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.